So the main goal for today is to discuss your new year financial reset. So this is something that I think is pretty important to almost everyone who does, want to improve on themselves. I think for myself speaking is something I try to do every year. I think about what I'm going to accomplish, the goals I want to have, and just try to start out my year making sure I do all the things that I want to do. And it's just a way for me to focus a little bit more, and thought it would be a good topic to discuss from a financial perspective and also personal perspective. So what we're going to do here is I have a presentation I'll go through. We'll talk a little bit and we'll answer any questions you guys may have at the end. So very important for people that want to improve on what they're doing and making sure that as they transition through every year, they're looking to improve on what they already have and making changes that are going to make a big difference in the long run. Obviously, planning is personal. It's a big thing that we talk about here at Attain, and the goals come first and investments support all of those things. So that's kind of what we'll talk about. I like a quote by JP Morgan. The first step towards getting somewhere is deciding you're not going to stay where you are. So that kind of works very well with the idea of a financial reset. You want to start the year with clarity, structural, and intentional financial planning. Any of the goals that you've been putting off and not doing, you want to make sure you accomplish. I think a big thing that I hear about a lot is people who want to put stuff off. That's completely fine, and not want to make a decision right away and kind of be a little intimidated by what you're doing. I do think it's important to not put it off too much and be afraid to make that decision, because that itself is a decision as well. I have a lot of people that I meet with that don't want to do anything, and I always tell them, hey, that's doing something. Doing nothing is still something. So just be important and be intentional with the stuff that you're doing. All right. So most people start, set health goals, career goals, personal goals. My personal one was to be on Instagram a little bit less. My wife and I send ourselves a lot of reels, and it's very, very easy for me to kind of get lost in those. And, next thing you know, it's 15, 20 minutes go by. So want to make sure that you're not, for myself, not doing that. But I do think it's important to set financial ones. So small improvements. There's a book at my office. If anyone wants to come grab it, you're more than welcome. It's called Atomic Habits. The idea is making small, minute changes over time in order to really improve on what you're doing, because a lot of times you make those big ones and you'll never stick. I'm not looking to be on Instagram, but not at all. I'm just looking to be on it less. Right away, you won't notice a difference, but you do all those little things over time. They become habits, and then you can improve on those things. Simplicity, not complexity. So a financial reset creates control, reduces stress, and ensures your money is working for your goals and not against them. So step one, organize your financial life. Bring clarity to your accounts, your debts, your income, your spending. I highly recommend you make a list of all of your accounts: banking, investment, retirement accounts. Track your debts. There's a lot of apps out there that you can use. If you just do a quick little Google search on, apps that help track your expenses and debts, they link safe, obviously, link right to your bank accounts and things like that. And you'll be able to see exactly what you spend on a monthly basis, what you're spending it on, and then kind of get an idea of what's your monthly income and what are your essential expenses. How much do you need versus how much do you spend? And then identify any unused or duplicate accounts that can be simplified. So a lot of people don't realize you have more than one, Netflix account that you're paying for. And a lot of that stuff you don't notice until you actually take a look at it, or you may be paying for something you haven't used in, who knows how long. So obviously, number two, setting the right goals for 2026. So define what matters this year and beyond. Kind of have that short-term plan of, hey, emergency fund, debt control, savings habits. It's always important to save a little bit as you go, and it doesn't mean you have to invest it all. Just setting that aside. Again, you can't make any meaningful changes in one small step. You got to do it over time. Midterm. So 1 to 5 years, home upgrades. Again, those short-term funds may turn into midterm funds where you realize, hey, I don't need these things, or I can save a little more. Kind of having those goals of, hey, where do I want to get in 1 to 5 years? So I want to do home upgrades, education funding, career changes, and long-term goals. These are your retirement income, your estate planning, your legacy planning, a wealth transfer, anyone that's, transitioning to the next phase of life that you now accumulated those assets. So kind of a big thing we talk about at Attain is the idea of the accumulation phase and the spending phase. So while you're accumulating, it's a different animal than when you're spending your money. Build a monthly savings formula. Design something so you don't have to guess. Have that protection bucket, the emergency fund you keep in the bank or in an investment account that's not as aggressive. Have your insurance, protect your liabilities, home, auto, and all those other things. Have a growth bucket. These are the longer term things like a Roth, an IRA, a 401k, a brokerage investing bucket. So what a brokerage investing bucket is more along the lines of money you can invest, you can get access to. It's still not a short-term bucket, but it could be a midterm bucket where you can still get access and have a little more flexibility. The downside to the Roths, the IRAs, and the 401ks is you're limited on when you can get that money. Where a brokerage account, you could, get it when you want. It's like almost like a bank account you invest. And then a future family bucket. These are 529s for the kids, different gifting strategies, legacy planning, and things of that nature. Rebalancing your investments. So align risk level and portfolio to mix to your goals. These ideas risk should be managed, not feared. You're going to have market changes. You're going to have things that are going to happen that are going to make you debate pulling all of your money out, which is normal. You want to weather the fear and have a portfolio that, hey, I have this long-term bucket. I don't need this now. I shouldn't pull that out right away and have that knee-jerk reaction, because if it comes back, you're not going to get the money you lost back. So it's important to understand your portfolio and have a good mix of what kind of risk you're taking. Rebalancing to assess your risk tolerance. You have a growth fund that's been doing phenomenal, and you also have a bond fund, and you were 70-30 in a mix to start, and now you're an 80-20. You may want to rebalance and get you back into that original allocation that was appropriate when you set it up. And then ensuring all of your assets are in the right tax bucket, kind of having that bucket of money approach where you have some money that's Roth, which is tax-free money, having IRA money that's tax-deferred money, and then having taxable money that would be that brokerage, bank accounts you can invest that you pay tax on every year would be a great option. And then just reducing any and unnecessary risk on some accounts if within 5 years retirement, depending on what you're doing. So insurance and liability review for reset, obviously identify protection gaps that can impact your plan, home and auto liability limits, taking a look at your umbrella insurance through your insurance companies, taking a look at your life insurance, whether you're looking for income replacement, protecting against the real estate you may own, whether that's your home, or protecting against a loved one or a pension plan. There's so many reasons you can get life insurance, but just taking a look and making sure you're covered adequately. So if something does happen to you, you're not leaving whoever your loved one is, without a plan. And then long-term care planning conversations. This is something that I would say if you have questions about, reach out to myself, an expert in the industry, just because it can be so complex and there's so many different options. You should talk about it. And a lot of people think long-term care planning could be a policy. It could be estate planning. It could be trust planning. It doesn't always have to be something that you're going to buy. You got to buy an estate plan essentially through an attorney, but it's different. And then business succession and beneficiary designations. If you own a business, or even for any account you own, a lot of people don't realize you can have what's called a TOD, or a transfer on death, on your bank accounts and all your investments. So it's important to take a look at that stuff as well. Step 6, automate and simplify. Do things that reduce the ability for you to miss it or not do it. A system can run during a busy life. Create that system to run during your busy life. Examples: autosave to investment and retirement account. Something I do, it's something I tell my clients to do. You want to set up that extra account for yourself that you can use in that midterm that's not retirement planning. Set up an auto investment in that. You can do that. Auto pay your bills. Having that, a lot of people like to write checks, but if you find yourself missing a bill pay or constantly late on things, set up that auto pay and try to track it, because it's important to not miss it. You'll hurt your credit. You'll pay late fees, and making sure you're on the right track. Calendar reminders for R&Bs, taxes, Medicare windows, putting stuff in your calendar. Everyone has a cell phone nowadays. Put that stuff in your calendar to make sure you don't miss it. I know I do. I can't live life without my calendar. It's how I do pretty much everything. And then reviewing your estate document, taking a look at what you're doing. Have you done a will, a power of attorney, a healthcare proxy? Have you updated those? Does anything in there need changing? You always want to make sure you're taking a look at that stuff and making sure that you're not missing anything. I appreciate everyone who showed up, and in the future, we'll continue to do these, and we'll make sure that we're educating you on things that we can. Appreciate everyone joining us, and have a great week.